Hello, today we're going to talk about the installation of the Valco Oasis Cool Pad System. The Oasis system is an improvement over the previous version as it includes a basin for improved water capacity. The Oasis system we're installing today is a center feed system, so we have pads on both sides of the pump system. We also have a closed top. Other options that you can install would be an end feed where the pump and basin would be on the end. You could also have an open top, which allows you to see a little bit more what the water flow is doing at the top. Other options are an extended system that would extend the pads out from the barn wall. That's handy if you have outlets that are on the exterior of the wall. Today we're going to cover cutting the rough opening, installing the trough, the pads, the top cover, and all the plumbing. Everything that we're going to talk about today can be found in the quick sheet assembly manual number 990283 on the Valco website under the support tab. When planning the Oasis Cool Pad rough opening, it's critical that we start with a level line. The level line will aid in setting the trough so that we can have the maximum water capacity for recirculation and evaporation. Rough opening is 3 inches above this top bracket. So the rough opening height is going to be your cool pad height less 3 inches. So in this case we're using a 72-inch pad, so our rough opening is going to be 69 inches. The length of your cool pad rough opening is the length of your system plus 1/4 inch for each connector. So if you're running a 60-foot system, you'll have to do the math to get your rough opening. In our case, for training, we're doing a 10-foot section, so we would have a 10-foot rough opening. As far as clearance to the top, you'll want to have about 18 inches of clearance from the top of the roof trusses to the rough opening to make sure you have clearance for the cover on the top. Make sure that on the top and the bottom you're using the 2x10 stringers inside to make sure you can carry the weight of all the water on the cool pad system. The trough mounting brackets are mounted on this laser level line that's 3 inches below the rough opening. There are 3 screw holes provided. Make sure you use all those screws to support the weight. To set the aluminum extruded top flange, we're going to strike a line parallel to the top of the trough brackets. That line is going to be the length of your pads plus 4 inches. And then to locate the end of the bracket, we're going to drop a plumb line down to the end of the trough and mark that so that when we're done and we put the pads in, the pads are square to the level line that we have. That'll prevent any gaps in the pads from sitting unsquare. To install the top bracket, you're going to put the top edge here on that parallel line that we struck, and then we're going to screw it fast every 2 feet. This system we're installing is the closed top system. For the closed top system, we're going to use the wire pipe supports. If you were using the open system, we'd be using the aluminum extruded pipe supports. So both of them have a little hook on the end of the support, and that will engage this lip on the top flange. So it'll just clip right in here and you just slip them in and set down, and we have already set these on 2-foot centers. So typically you're going to get the trough in 10-foot sections. and the manufactured end is going to be pretty clear of burrs, but you want to check it. If you have to cut it yourself in the field, you're going to end up with a lot of burrs and rough edges. Before sealing this with the PVC cement, you want to make sure you clean up all the burrs and get yourself a nice joint for gluing. The second thing we're going to talk about is the glue itself. The glue that you need to use on this system is an extra heavy body glue, and that is always going to be on the label. You can get this through Valco as a part number VG126. If you use a common PVC glue that's proven inadequate in this condition, this heavy body glue is really made to fill gaps. And in this situation, with the not round condition of the trough, you need as heavy a glue as you can put in. To start the plumbing, the first step is to put the trough into the mounting brackets on the wall that you've already set in place. For convenience in the training video, I'm going to show you how to do this on the floor, just a little bit more convenient. We're going to use our extra heavy body glue, and we're going to apply the glue on the end cap or the coupler, depending on your situation. And we're going to fill in everything the whole way around to make sure we have a generous amount of glue without being sloppy on this entire surface. And then we're going to do the same thing on the mating surface here. We're going to use, again, a generous amount of glue on here. Then we'll slip these pieces together, push down, make sure that you can see that the end has completely seated in the trough, and hold that for 30 seconds to let it set. It's also advisable after this is complete to go back and put another ample supply of glue around the edges again. And you could do the same thing on the inside here, just to make sure if there were any air gaps, you've got those filled. Okay, after you've installed the trough, you want to make sure you get the seal and place that between the trough and the barn. Okay, to complete the trough plumbing, as you can see, we've already pre-assembled this to save some time. This particular system is a center-fed system, so you see the T between the two ends of the cool system. We haven't already glued the 8-inch to 4-inch adapter onto each side. This next coupler is a threaded 4-inch coupler. You want to use the extra heavy body glue to glue that thread in, snug it up as hand tight, finish out the rest of the T per your instructions. Next, we're going to install the basin onto the plumbing for the trough. We've already installed the rubber bushing into the trough. In order to slide this bushing onto the 4-inch pipe, it's a pretty snug fit, so we're going to use some hand soap or dishwashing liquid just to give it a little bit of lubrication. So slide a little on there, put a little bit on the pipe. Okay, in order to slide this on, it is that tight fit that we talked about. I'm going to lift this up just a little bit so it's pointed a little high. I'll get the bushing started on the bottom and then just work it onto the pipe just like that. To set the height of the basin, the instructions are pretty clear. The bottom of the basin, in this case we just prop this up for training, but the bottom of the basin is going to be 28.8 inches below the top of the trough brackets. Next, we're going to set the side covers in place. If you look at the side cover, it has a hole on the top and the bottom. They're made that you can use them on either the left or the right side, depending on how you have it set up or need for left or right. In our case, we're going to set this hole at the top, and depending on your pad height, you're going to have to trim the end off. So what I'm going to do to get my length for trimming the end off is I'm going to hang it on the pipe that I've placed up on the top, and I'm just going to set it down on the trough. Mark a line here. We just need to clear the trough, so I'll mark a line and then I'll trim it. For field operation, once I have my line marked where I want to cut it, I'm just going to lay another piece on top and use that to square this line up. Once we have the end cap on, we need to start putting the cool pads in. Keep in mind that the cool pads have a sticker that's going to tell you which end's the top. It's also going to tell you which end is the outside of the barn and which side is the inside of the barn. That's important because the way the water flows, you want to make sure that the water's coming down the front and working its way in to cool it. So always look for the sticker and make sure you install according to the instructions on there. So I'm just going to slide this into the trough and push it in against the top flange, and then I'll slide it in to this end cap. After your trough is installed, you're going to put your end cap in. The end cap's nice that you can pull it off for cleaning and maintenance at the end of the, between flocks. Just slip it on and tighten the hose clamp. The holes on the 10-foot section are pointed up and ever so slightly towards the front of the pad, not more than 5 degrees. The reason for that is we want the water to run down the front of the pad, and as the air is being drawn through the pad, it pulls the water through, evaporates, and creates a cooling effect. The next thing is the plumbing. So for plumbing, in this case, we have a center feed system. So we have a T at the top. You'll notice that we have the unions in place. The unions are nice. You can take this apart for winterization and cleaning. So unions here. We have the shutoff valve at the top. The manual is very clear in the order of these different components. The shutoff valve is handy if you want to pump the system out. You would close this and the water would pump through the exit hose here. The next thing in the system is the filter. The filter, when you put this in, make sure that the water flow is in the direction that the arrow shows on the filter itself. And of course, it's going to be traveling from the pump up through, so the arrow will point up. The valve for the bypass valve here, this valve is handy for maintenance if you want to pump out. It's also used to control the water flow so that you don't get too much water up on your top pipe. The pump can pump 60 gallons a minute, but you may not need that. You don't want to get water in your barn, so you may have to bleed some off by using this valve. You'll just place the hose in the basin and adjust this valve to whatever your needs are. Next is the pipe going down to the pump. Just need to know that there's a 60 hertz and a 50 hertz pump. Depending on where you're at in the world, you'll get the right one ordered. And just know that the kit will come with 2 fittings that go into the pump, so dry fit your fittings and figure out which thread is proper for your pump. While you're plumbing, you're going to need to put your lid on so that your pipes can go through the holes in the lid. For this video, we kept the lid off so that we could get some shots inside, but you'll want to put this together as you're going through your plumbing. The other piece of this is the float valve to set your water height. That's set with a simple Phillips head screw. You can move this float up and down. And of course your water supply comes in up here. Next we'll put on the top cover on the closed system. If you hook it in the back, if you have it all the way back, it'll stay in the open position. If you lift up a little bit, pull it front, it'll slide down over the front of the pads. The last piece is the clean out at the end of the system. So we have a union at the top and we have a quarter turn shut off valve here. When you put your system in, you probably want to put some type of strain relief on your pipe here to connect it to the barn.